Well, hey everybody, welcome. This is Alan with Forefront, and today we actually have a good friend of mine on here, and he is going to be talking with us about his business. This is Doug Price. Doug Price is from Roanoke, Virginia. He's been in business for a few years, and we actually have done some deals together. Doug, if you don't mind, go ahead and tell me about yourself, things that I don't know, and maybe some other stuff that I do just for other people.
Things you don't know, that's going to be challenging at this point, Alan. I would say for people that don't know me, I live in Roanoke, Virginia. I've been here for about 10 years. I've been in the real estate wholesaling, I guess, now for about 6 years of that time. And family and I moved here because we were called to move here after I graduated with a pastoral ministries degree from Campbellsville University. And took a much different route to get where I'm at than what I anticipated. But my wife and 2 kids, we enjoy it here. We love Roanoke, and we've made a lot of great connections here. And investing's become part of very much about what I do, real estate investing. So I'm glad to be a part of what's happening here at Forefront. So thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. One thing you just basically said you've been involved in wholesaling for about 6 years. Is that your primary focus? Do you do anything else in the business as well?
So my goal in wholesaling was basically to get enough money into the bank to start buying properties, holding those as rental property. One of my long-term goals is actually to buy enough property, have enough cash flow coming in to where I can work in a church and not really obligate them to a paycheck to me.
Yeah.
And finally, in the last about 18, 24 months, my partners and I that I have through my church, actually, we have started buying and holding multiple properties. So it's been a blessing to be able to do that. And with wholesaling, kind of open the door to find those properties or learn how to find those properties to buy and to hold on to.
That's awesome, man. So how many people currently do you work with that are on your team?
So I've got 2 partners, 2 different companies. We work pretty closely together, looking at deals, evaluating those. We actually just had our first flip that we kind of fell into. That's a big part of my team. I have a couple of VAs I lean on pretty heavily to do some administrative tasks for me. And then I also have a company I've contracted to do cold calling. And I'm getting ready to do some other things to where I bring in some people to do some text blasting and things of that nature to kind of create another marketing stream there.
Nice. So how with all that going on, how many deals are you doing a month on average?
This year, running right at 4 deals a month. And I feel pretty good about that based on previous years. That's probably more than I've ever done, more consistently than I've ever done. I'd love to see that about double. And I'm working on that I'm working to get that point before the end of the year. So I'm taking those steps now.
Well, it's good that you're with Forefront because it is our entire drive right now to get our users to be able to double their deal. So hopefully we're all able to do that together with you. So and I know that's growth for you because I remember what it was when me and you were doing stuff together. So that is definite, consistent, good, solid growth. So yeah, if people only knew.
Yeah, a little different.
So you mentioned some text blasting, some cold calling. Is there anything else that you're using to get deals right now?
Just launched a new mail campaign. I took a break from mail for probably about 20 months now because my response rate was just to the point. When I started doing this 6 years ago, I would hit about, I'd get close to 4% response rate on mail, which even at the time, 6 years ago, that was pretty high. But that finally slumped down to about 1%. And it was different on this most recent piece I mailed, but it's hovering a little under 1%. So taking that 20-minute break doesn't seem to have improved the response rate. So I'm taking a very hard look about how to go forward with direct mail, because I do know with some of the 10DLC stuff coming down the line, or that has already come down the line with text blasting, cold calling is getting tougher to get through with carriers limiting things. I know the time is limited, so I'm trying to rebuild that relationship with my sellers here in my market specifically, and hopefully I can start doing that with direct mail again.
No, absolutely. I remember, so I started, I guess, a little bit before you then, timeline wise. But the company that I was working with, our postcards were doing about 4% back then. But if we would send out yellow letters, it was over 10% response. And it definitely is not that world anymore.
No.
It would be really nice if we got back to that. But anyway, I can't.
Yeah.
The phone calls that I would have to go through, and we would send out 5,000 yellow letters. Never been cussed out that much in my life. But anyway, besides,
I think those days are long gone.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll see, maybe. Besides Forefront, what other tools do you use in your business?
Rely very heavily on, of course, everything Google Docs, Drive, all that good stuff. CallRail is huge. I've actually got a couple things I use for like blasting out deals to buyers. Text, very inexpensive to blast out to my buyers list. Also use Mad Mimi, I think it's called, which is a mass mail service email service rather, that I use to blast out deals to buyers. Those are probably some of the most commonly used tools, I would say.
Okay. So can you tell me about a recent deal that you've done that's memorable for whatever reason, big check that came in, or hard to do, anything like that? Tell me one of those deals.
Well, I was thinking about this because I know we talked offline a little bit about some of the stuff we would talk about, and I've had a good year, and I was recently on Facebook the other day looking at one of the groups I'm in, and one of the guys had all these posts about all the checks. Those great posts you see with all the checks, the $40,000 and $20,000 and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? Like, man, I should have more of those. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, I fall into that trap all the time of looking at what other people are doing. So I thought about that, and I thought about the question you were going to pose to me. And as I looked at that, and I thought about it, I'm like, I got multiple deals this year where I could sit there and like grab you a HUD statement and hold it up and show you that I made this much and I did this, and here's how I did it. But I'd really go a little different direction with it, because I think there's a lot of people out there, probably like me, that get a little bit frustrated when they see all those checks being posted, and they're like, what am I doing wrong? You're raising your hand. Yeah. So I want to tell people, when you're in this business, you want to take care of people, and you want to try to meet their needs as best you can. And if you're not the person to meet their needs, there's no harm in walking away from it and doing the right thing, because sometimes that comes back in a good way. And I just want to talk to you. I'd had a lady I talked to. It's been 3 years ago. And she's been in my Forefront follow-up since I joined you all, whenever that was, I guess over a year ago. And she's been in there, and I haven't really talked to her much. I've followed up with her now and then over those 3 years. But I called her here about 2 weeks ago, and she said, I want to meet you again. So 3 years ago, we left off. We had a contract written. We were good to go. And then she called back and said, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not ready. I can't sell this. My family's living there, which I knew when we sat down and did the agreement. She changed her mind. And instead of forcing the issue, I just took a step back from it and said, that's fine. When you're ready, call us again. My thinking at the time was she probably had a higher offer and she wanted to back away from our contract. But here I am 3 years later, and I'm not kidding you. It's been 3 years ago this summer. She says, "Come back. Let's sit down. Let's go over it again." So we sat down. I sat on her porch for 2 hours talking to her and her husband, going through all their options. We eliminated every option they have, basically, in the process of that back and forth. And we've written up a new contract now, and I'd love to tell you it's signed and sitting here on my desk ready to go, but she has yet to sign it. But I'm continuing that communication with her. So when you're in this business, I guess what I want you to focus on is the people to help them. It's easy to get lost in all those checks that people have, and it's easy to get lost in trying to make money. Yeah. And if you're actually trying to meet the needs of people, you're going to find people like her that trust you and come back to you when they're ready. Yeah. And there's a fair amount of profit to be made here once we get the signatures, which I do fully anticipate getting again. And this time, her family is actually ready to get out of the house, and she's ready to move forward. So if you have to end a deal for whatever reason, end it well. Like, don't burn down that bridge, because you have no idea how it's going to come back to you. I had 3 years. I did not think this would ever go anywhere, but out of the blue, one day when I just said, "Hey, I'm going to call her," she's like, "Yeah, let's meet." So here we are. Mm-hmm. So if you have to end a deal, end it well. Take care of the people, stay in touch with them, make sure their needs are being met. And if you're not the guy to meet them, there's no harm done.
I think that advice works well, not just with a deal, with everything. You know, if you're ending something, end it well. That's how you're starting the next thing. So yep. Absolutely, that's great advice. And me and Doug, we actually have some cool stories of some cool deals that we were able to pull together. And I can tell you from my own experience that what he just said is the man that he is. So that's why there's success there. Let's kind of flip this around to kind of why we're here. What are your favorite things about using Forefront?
Favorite things about Forefront, I would say, in comparison to many other CRMs I've used, and you know about that. You know all too well about that. We went down that journey together, trying out different CRMs, and we worked together. And so many CRMs don't present the information to you in an easily digestible fashion. There's a lot of clicks. There's a lot of things to go and find in that process of utilizing whatever system you have. And I would say one of the most complex ones out there that a lot of investors are using is Podio. And excuse me. And with Podio, I mean, holy cow, there's just so many things that can go wrong in there that you don't even know what's going wrong until you're not communicating with people.
Yeah, 100%.
So what I love about Forefront, one, is that you guys have built a system that everything is really in front of you. The communication logs, that's huge. Everything's in front of you. The correspondence, email, text, it's all right there. In addition to that, you have the flexibility of that whiteboard look that carries over from multiple, I guess, CRMs, pipeline kind of, or pipeline.
Pipe drive.
One of those two. It's kind of that look where you can build your, pipeline. So you can kind of carry that over and make that whiteboard what you want it to be, specific to your workflow. So there's some flexibility within there, but at the same time, the lead component of it, everything is in front of you. And that is, so I'm enjoying it a lot. And I will say the best part about working with you all is when we have those calls on Facebook, when we have those weekly or bi-weekly meetings, when there are suggestions made and we discuss how those can be implemented, or you all discuss how they can be implemented with us, I'm seeing over and over and over again as we're doing updates to the system we're getting those things we're requesting in there. And that is absolutely huge to growing Forefront and helping us use it. So you all just made another update. We were discussing offline here just a minute ago, and it was based on a suggestion I made a month ago, and I love it. It's perfect.
No, I love that. Yeah, it's like your own personal CRM. Everybody doesn't know, but I mean, the way that Forefront is going, the way that it's being built,
It is.
it's just based on how we kind of went through a bunch of other CRM. So anyway, last one of these is, how has using Forefront affected your business?
Well, I would say, I haven't kept track of every single deal. I'm sitting here looking at Forefront on my screen right here. I haven't kept track of every single deal that I have been able to salvage or not drop the ball on since I've been switched over. But I would say easily a deal a month, I would say, is probably because a little red box on here surrounds one of my follow-ups that I have to do something in. Mm-hmm. That option leads to a deal in some capacity. And for those of you who haven't seen Forefront yet, you've got a green, yellow, red segment on the side of each lead within that whiteboard look that kind of flags you and just reminds you, oh, there's something that needs done here, just in case you've missed or dropped the ball. And I've dropped the ball a handful of times this year. I admit it. That one I just told you about being 3 years old was one of them that was flagged red sitting over in my cold leads. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't be red. I'll just go ahead and call them today. It's been a long time. So yeah, those are the things that are incredibly helpful to guys like me that aren't that techie a lot of the time. And when it's all in front of you, it's just easier to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonus question that I didn't actually prepare.
Oh, bonus.
I know, bonus.
Man.
All right. What is your favorite feature here inside of Forefront?
Favorite feature?
Or just anything that's in there, the thing to you that just stands out and goes, I love this.
I don't think there's any one thing. The one thing I found on is porch. There is, correct me if I'm wrong, it was named something previously. Out of that and a lot of development from what it was in the last 12 or 14 months has now been moved over to what we have now under Forefront. Mm-hmm. And with all those changes, especially in the last 3, 4, 6 months right here, there's been some glitches. And in the process of those glitches, if I email somebody at support, they're resolved in rapid fashion. And there is no other CRM I've dealt with. And I assure you, unfortunately, I have dealt with a lot of CRMs trying to find something like this. And there's nothing else that I've seen. The support is just massive. I mean, there's so much value there to know somebody's going to take care of an issue you have. Yeah. I mean, I've worked with Danny directly to get things resolved on the app. I mean, what other company can you say you can text the owner of back and forth and work through a resolution in minutes? I mean, that's just who you guys are, and that's massive.
Well, anything else you'd like to share, sir?
I don't think so. Go get deals. I mean, I know the market is crazy hot right now, but man, there's still people out there that need to sell for whatever reason. I keep seeing all these texts or posts and stuff like that on Facebook groups. I can't find deals and all that kind of thing. And it's like, I'm going to tell you, they're out there. I mean, this has been my best year ever, and I know several other people that are saying the same thing. So they're out there. It's just a matter of doing the work to find it. There's a lot more people looking, but if you're one of them and if you keep doing it, you're going to get one yourself. So keep going.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us at Forefront CRM. You can email me personally, Alan, ALAN, at forefrontcrm.com. We'll talk to you soon.